let's talk about their two, I would say, like stepchildren albums, man. Like it's like the two that, if you're my age and your age, you may not care about these as much. But if you're, let's say, 10 years my junior, these might have been the ones that came out along the lines of the And Out Come the Wolves and Life Will Wait For You. But Honor's All We Know, I wasn't listening to punk. So where you did with the Dominoes is what I was doing with these two. I wasn't really listening to punk. I was trying to clean my life up. I was trying to get my shit together. So when I heard these, it was way after they came out. I had no idea they even existed. And then when I found out they existed, I was really upset that I didn't know. I felt like I was selling them out. I felt like I owed them enough of my attention because of how much they helped me in my life. So I dove into these with a completely open mind. I didn't have any kind of weird, I didn't read no reviews. I didn't know if people liked them or not. I just was like, oh shit, 2 albums I never heard. I dove into them and I was like, yo, these must be like hugely popular. No, people really just didn't give a shit about them. I don't know. I don't get it, man. I've heard some weird
they don't really have bad reviews, we should say, but people just kind of didn't care. Yeah.
It's like people were being spoiled because they had so much good shit that they were like, oh, okay, cool. More great music. I don't really need it. Plus, we're looking at the digital age now fully in bloom, and they're not a digital age band per se. So
no, and their fans wouldn't necessarily be either. And that's like, because again, we told a lot of stories on this show of physical media and this band,
right.
and here's where, like, you know,
that really comes to fruition here.
Yeah, and these albums, if we go to any record store, they're there. Partially because no one buys them, I think, is part of why they're always there, and they're relatively new and mass released, and you know, that kind of thing.
I can't say you're wrong about that though. But I think it's disappointing because they're full of great music, and we'll talk about Troublemaker next because I really love that record a lot. But Honor's All We Know. Let's make this one kind of quick. I might double up this one in a clip because I don't think we have a lot to talk about either of these records without just repeating stuff that I think about both of them, kind of. But Something to Believe in a World Gone Mad is a great rock and roll song, and I want them to play that song live so bad. I love that song. I hear a lot about Tim's vocals in this record, and I don't understand the hate.
I don't like him. I don't like his vocals in this record at all. He sounds sick. He sounds sick. Like, and why were his like? Did he heal by the time we got to the most recent record? Like, I don't understand what happened.
I don't see where the sound sick thing comes in at all. I think maybe one day if we get to hang out again, I'd love to sit down with you and listen to this one, and maybe we could do like a live spin through the record and like sincerely, I just want to sit down and go, okay, where are you hearing this? Because I don't hear it. I just hear them recording in a different way a little bit. Like they're just, how many years was it between Dominoes and Honor?
So
like a few, right?
09, so about 5 years. Yeah. So
especially
in later in life, those are big years. Like that's significant. Yeah.
So maybe they were just like, we call it ring rust in UFC. Maybe they had some ring rust. They were just getting back to it. I don't know.
I think so.
I like his vocals on this album quite a bit, actually. And if anybody that doesn't like his vocals that likes the 2000 album, your opinion is null and void because what I'm saying, it wouldn't make sense at all. But Collision Course, I actually wrote down, I love Tim's voice on this one. The rhythm is great, and they do the dual vocals thing on this song. I really, really like it. Any song that mentions Creedence is also a win. So, yeah. And then I put, my favorite song on the album is Evil Is My Friend. And then I put ... You see a trend here? Because it's like all the ska songs that they put out. I just like them all. So did you even come up with 3 songs that you really like?
Yeah, I did. I like the opener, Back Where I Belong. I've always kind of liked that song.
Great song.
I have Evil Is My Friend, as you do.
Yeah.
And then I had Everybody Suffering, because I think that's a badass song.
Also a great song. Also a great song. Well,
to me, this album, I'll say real quick, this album specifically is just kind of there. Like I said, Taken for Granted. Like I think it's a good collection of Rancid songs.
Taken for Granted is a perfect description.
It just doesn't pull me. It doesn't pull me in.
If any other band on the face of this planet put this record out, we'd be like, holy shit, that band's good.
Yeah, man, that band sounds like Rancid, and they were pretty good because these are good. These are legitimate Rancid songs. I don't think they rest on their laurels. It just kind of, for me, came out that way.
Well, I think we're spoiled, is what it really comes down to. I mean, think about it. How often do you have a band that has 10 awesome albums?
Again,
even the self-titled 2000, I can still pick a few songs off it that I like.
The digital era, as you're saying, what that also implies too is now I only can only listen to Out Come the Wolves like on permanent, and it's awesome. Like I don't have to like my CD's not gonna melt. I'm not gonna lose it. So it's hard to go to the top of our conversation. It's hard to go to some of these albums sometimes that come out in later years because we're so spoiled and the access is so easy. So we just do what's comfortable all the time.
All the legacy bands that had albums come out in this little, like, I'd say 6-7 year era, they had this like dip in like popularity, I think, as far as just numbers and stuff. Like their shows were probably sold out, their albums probably did well with the old heads, but the younger generation wasn't getting to them because I think there was this like mass confusion with digital age, and people weren't really sure how to do it necessarily. And
the whole reason I started going on YouTube and wanted to talk about this stuff, because I felt like it was getting lost. I felt like the history was getting smashed and people were dismissing it as like adolescent music that didn't really matter. When, wait a minute, you like all this indie pop, all this stuff. Guess where all that stuff originates? It originates right here in punk rock, right with these guys. That's why all those bands wear these guys' t-shirts, because they inspired all of that.
And there's just this learning curve that we just weren't really ready for, I think. But I don't know, a couple of years later, I think that they kind of came back with Troublemaker, and I think that this is like this is like your first at bat was Honor, and then when you come up later in the game and you're ready to hit a home run, you hit Troublemaker. And I absolutely love Troublemaker. It is a top 3 Rancid album, and I listened to it in its entirety twice this week in preparation for this video, trying to come up with 3 songs that I could take off of it, because to me, this is one that makes me feel like you do about Indestructible. Like, this is my album. I love this album. I don't care if anybody else does. It's great. It's an amazing, amazing album, and it's got one of my favorite songs by them of all time. So, Troublemaker, I didn't know about this when it came out, so it's a weird.
So this to me is like full digital age now, because so Honor is all we know. I told the story before, like that's when I learned that people uploaded music to YouTube when in 2014. But I remember looking for like news about it or whatever, and it's like the whole album was uploaded. So that's how I first heard Honor was all we know. Like, that's pretty good, and then I never listened to it again. This one, it's like, you're in that, like, that's, I think I want to say it's 2017, so you're in that like mass social media age. So I remember just like being on Twitter and Spin Magazine or someone tweeting out, Punk Legends Rancid to come out with new album next year. And again, I went on the internet, I heard it, thought it was pretty good, and just sort of never paid it any mind again. I do think it's, I don't know if I like it better than Honor is all we know. Like, I haven't interrogated that necessarily. I do think they tried a little bit harder. Like, I don't necessarily like the results, but I think the effort, you can argue, is better. Like, it's less of that resting on your laurels kind of stuff. I just don't necessarily like the way a lot of it necessarily came out. But again, we're really splitting hairs with some of these albums when we put them. It's usually in contrast to each other. Really, I just don't like it on the level that you do necessarily. And I still don't love the way it sounds, I think, and I don't even know what that means. I don't think the production is bad. I just don't like the production. I can't really verbalize what that is.
Okay, I think everybody likes what they like, and I'm definitely not gonna discredit your opinion on it. I hold your opinion in high regard, and I think that the longer we know each other, the more we could become friends. That I am A-okay with you not liking something to the degree that I like it, because I think that you have legitimate reasons. And this album is, I think it's just a really, in their life of this band, they hit these little blips where they go, "Boop, here's some pretty perfect shit, man." And then they come back down to like where it's just like greatness, right? And this, boop, here's some more perfect shit. And I feel like Troublemaker was kind of one of those blips, dude. And I think that their last album might even be one of those blips. But Troublemaker,
it's a great song. I should say it's a great songwriting album. I want to point that out. The songwriting, I think, is really good on Troublemaker.
Well, yeah, if you can see my notes from this end, my notes for Troublemaker are longer than they were for any other album on the whole list. And it's not that I wrote a ton. I just wrote more about it. I put my top 3. I'll just read them out. Telegraph Avenue. What a great opening guitar lead. An awesome story song. I love the way this one is put together. Also, Tim is doing Tim things with his vocals, and I love it. It sounds like an Out Come the Wolves era Rancid song, in my opinion. That whole it's just, I hear that, I go, huh? Because I know that sound. It's the largest guitar. I know that guitar tone. It is beautiful to me. Also, I put, is it Bover or Bover?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I don't. So whatever, Balver Rock and Roll. I have misread and mispronounced this song for years until somebody pointed out to me on this channel that it was 2 V's and not a W. I think I just misread it. I think I was calling it Bauer, and they were like, "No, it's Bover or however you say it, whatever, man." It's got a piano in the song, which I really, really love. It's anthemic rock and roll, and I feel like the general public would treat it as a like pro-America song like they do with Born in the USA, and I think that that's really funny.
Yeah, you missed the subtlety.
You missed the point. Yeah, it's got a great solo in the song, but it's one of those ones that gets me stomping my feet. And while I can hear it, rah rah, red, white, and blue, I also know what it actually means. So I go, nah, not really that. I'll take this one though, and I'll carry it with my, backpack on. This is my, marching song. It's just such a great track, man. But an intimate close-up of a street punk troublemaker. We talked about it earlier in the podcast. Whoo, that song is heavy, bro. That is a great song. Amazing melody, great chorus, and more of that Out Come the Wolves feeling to me personally.
So I have two of the same that cross over for you. I have
the
intimate close-up as we talked about, and then Telegraph Avenue, which I think that was like, most people that are in our vibe are going to have that song.
Right.
And then I have, and again, it might just be because it's one of the more popular songs on the album and they play it live a lot. I have Where I'm Going. I think that one, when I would hear Where I'm Going live, I don't know what I've been, what I'm doing, what I'm going. I've always thought
Where I'm going. Yeah, that's a great song.
More recently, when they broke that out live and I would watch clips on YouTube, I thought it was a song from like Self-Titled or something that I was unaware of. Like I did not realize that it was a recent period Rancid song. Like to me, that's another song too that just sounds like it would be.
It sounds like Life Won't Wait.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be from
the
state
of mind. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that peppiness to it. Yeah.
Bro, that song is fire, bro.
It does that old school Rancid thing too, where you're just stuffing a million words into like one small piece of music.
Oh, yeah, dude. They kill me with that stuff. But yeah, man, Troublemaker is a very important record to me personally. I enjoy it. I'd love to hear people's thoughts on it in the comments because I feel like it's probably going to be very polarizing as well, unfortunately. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is.